Hello, 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 and welcome. Today is Friday, and for most of us who work the regular Monday to Friday schedule, 9 to 5, today is an awesome day because you know what? We get to go home and have 2 days of rest. Yay! 2 days when we can do anything we want to do for ourselves. And then there are those of us who want to make this day impactful. By impactful, I mean when Friday comes around and we know that during the week we don't have a lot of time to crush our goals and go work on things that will move us forward personally. We look at this weekend or the weekend as a time when we can really focus on making those things happen, making those goals work. So if you are one of those who's crushing your goals, I say keep on crushing. If you're on the fence and still haven't decided what you want to do, I say go home this weekend and begin to make it happen. It's very powerful when you begin to set goals for yourself and do things that will help you move ahead, whatever those goals are. You don't always have to link it to money, although linking it to money would be a good thing, but it could be things that you've always wanted to do but couldn't find the time. Use the weekend if you're free on the weekend. Just some of your time on the weekend will be very, very impactful in you starting to work on your goals. But what I want to talk about today is something that started all of this self-motivation video. And it was very huge for me because I had asked myself this question multiple times. You want to work on things, but you find that you are stuck. You cannot make the decisions you want to make. You are on the fence, sort of. But years ago, I asked myself this question, not very long ago, actually, maybe a couple of years ago. When I started to look around to decide what it is I really wanted to get into, what it is I really wanted to do, one question became very, very clear to me. I had heard it before, heard other people talk about it, but it didn't make sense to me. And that question was, who am I? But before I could answer that question, I realized that, I don't think this question, who am I, is just on the surface. I think it goes deeper than just being on the surface. Then I realized that answering that question will help me gain self-clarity. But then self-clarity in itself is not everything. There was something else that I had to do before I could gain that self-clarity. Self-clarity led me down the path of self-discovery. Self-discovery allows you to understand yourself. It allows you to answer your questions about who you are. When you discover yourself, then you become clear about who you are. Because clarity will allow you to manage yourself. So first thing you have to do is discover yourself, discover who you are. Most people, when they ask the question or when they hear about self-clarity, the only thing that comes to mind is thinking about, oh, I need to answer this question about who I am. But believe me, I was shocked when I discovered that it was only the beginning. Defining self-clarity for myself took me down discovery lane. And when I got into discovery, guess where it took me? It took me years back. I went back into my childhood as far as I could remember. Because you know why I had to go there and why it was important? The little visions and the dreams and the goals that we had growing up as children. We didn't realize it then, but they were very impactful. When I started to think back to those days, my memory took me back, I think, to as early as maybe 2 or 3 years old. I was shocked. I was very, very shocked. As I walked through the years up to my adulthood, I realized that there were certain trends that followed me all through my childhood up to adulthood. But Because I wasn't focused on those things, I veered off path. Several years later, now I'm a full-blown adult. I want to do things, but I feel stuck because I haven't discovered who I am. I left it back years ago. I want clarity, but I can get clarity because there are questions, there were things that impacted me years ago that I was drawn toward, not necessarily bad things. There were things that meant a lot to me. There were dreams that I had, visions that I had, aspirations that I had as a child growing up. You know, we used to play dollhouse or play, little play. I'm the leader, I'm a cook, I'm a soldier, all those little things were very impactful. But most of us don't realize those things until we are full-blown adults and we have to make decisions. So when I was able to go back there and kind of draw a map that led me to the present, guess what? I realized that most of the decisions I made now, most of the things that I'm involved with now, were things that I had already planned when I was a little girl. They were things that I wanted to do when I grew up. But I veered off path, and rightly so, because we go to school and study other things. We get involved with other things. We get into relationships, we get married, work comes in the way, and then we forget until that time comes when you ask yourself, who am I? Who am I? So next time you ask yourself that question, who am I? Just remember, you cannot answer that question on the surface. You cannot provide a surface level answer to a question as deep as who am I? You have to take a trip down back into memory lane. You have to look at all those situations, those circumstances, those dreams, those visions, those talks you had, those little things you said people thought it was child talk. Those were the things that were preparing you for who you will become today. But many of us never paid attention. And I said rightly so, because we're trained and taught to do other things. But it's never too late. If you can answer those questions for yourself, you will begin to have that self-discovery, which will help you to understand who you are. And only then can you have self-clarity. Because if you don't have clarity, you will never be able to manage yourself. You will find yourself all over the place. But when you have self-clarity, everything begins to fall into place. Because self-clarity will lead to prospering in other areas of your life. You will have answers that you thought you never had before. So I hope this video was very, very helpful to you. I'm going to keep it short because there are other things that are linked to self-clarity that I'm going to talk about next week and the week after. And I hope you can join me then. I will also have a link where you can download the questions that I answered to give myself that clarity. Those questions that took me down memory lane. Places where I thought I would never go again. But I found myself there as a little girl. And the dreams and things that I had in mind. Oh my goodness. Can you believe that they are the same things that are manifesting today? But I hadn't paid attention. So I hope you have a wonderful weekend. Spend this weekend doing some work on your goals. If you haven't written down your goals, it's not too late. It's never late. Just start. Ask yourself, what are your goals? You don't have to make it a lot. Pick one. Pick one thing you want to accomplish this year and work on it. But remember, you will need to be clear about why that goal is important to you. And to put yourself in that goal, you have to ask yourself, who am I? And to find out who you are, you will need to discover who you are and be clear about who you are. So have a wonderful, wonderful weekend. And I'll be talking to you soon in one of my self-discovery in one of my self-motivating videos. And have a blessed weekend. Bye-bye.